What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one, let's give you guys a very quick update about what's going on with SPY and the markets. But let me first say that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $500 and you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. Anyways, for SPY, this thing is selling off quite aggressively. We're barely at 496 right now. We're going to be watching to see how this holds up because that is historically a support zone. If we end up losing that, I could see this get very close to 494. So just be very, very careful, or at least the 494s in general. So be careful at this support. We'll see how SPY holds this. We're still showing some weakness. Now, later on during the day, I just want to mention that at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions coming out. So be very careful when they end up coming out. We'll see how this affects the markets. Otherwise, the market is still continuing to downtrend and remain relatively weak. Now, tomorrow we have the FOMC minutes, but otherwise, that's the only piece of data we're looking out for today. The 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions. For now, SPY is barely fighting at 496. We'll see how well it holds or not. So be very, very careful here. If it does rebound, once this thing reverses and tries to bounce, we could get a back test of 498 again. But we're not quite there yet. We're not quite ready to rebound yet. We'll just have to wait and see. For Tesla, looking at Tesla, I think that Tesla is continuing to sell off, showing some weakness. We're barely holding 192, and we're actually starting to lose it. So we could come all the way down to 190 now. We still technically have this flag that's forming, but it's not looking as strong as before. And we'll see if it ends up invalidating this, excuse me, this potential flag or not. So watch and see if we could hold 192 on Tesla. If not, we could remain weaker. If we try to hold this, look for it to rebound towards 195. But right now, we're barely holding 192, and there's a risk of it continuing to sink. So be careful, guys, on Tesla. On the QQQ, watch 425 as support. If we lose that, there's 423.8 and 422.5. This thing is on a downtrend right now, looking relatively weak, especially thanks to Nvda. So as it's losing this low right here, it's not the best of things to be watching for. So it might continue to sink down. So just be very careful, but watch and see how we react to 425. Buyers are trying to defend it right here, as we did get 3 bounces off this level before, so we're at a big level right now. So we'll see if the QQQ could hold 425 or not. But watch and see if we could get a rebound towards 427 later. It might sink a little bit more and then try to rebound, but as of right now, it's still just shuffling at 425, barely holding on, so be careful. There's a risk of it coming down lower before it tries to bounce later. For Nvda, watch support right over here around 685. Then we have 680 below that. And we have resistance right now around 693 and 700. As of right now, it's selling off a bit. It does have a risk of dropping more, which could slow the QQQ down. But we're at this support historically. That's where this imbalance is. And we're approaching the previous resistance becoming support. So we'll see how well Nvidia could hold up. We got a triple top rejection right here, and it is showing weakness as we predicted yesterday. So we called this move that's coming to Nvidia. We did mention it's going to likely see some downside. It's actually sinking even lower than what we were expecting, but there is still a more risk of downside. And despite this downside, I wouldn't necessarily turn extremely bearish because of it. Because what's going to dictate this more, like I said before, is earnings. Even if we do sell off approaching earnings, it's going to be okay. Earnings will dictate whether or not this thing bounces or not. But for now, we're selling off. Make sure we watch 680. If that fails us, there's even more risk of it coming down towards like the 670 zone. 670 to about 666. Right now, Nvidia is looking weak, so be careful. And finally, for SPY, I just want to mention, not SPY, Aapl, excuse me. Apple's looking kind of weak. We're barely holding 180. If we lose this, watch 178. We're barely at 180, showing some weakness as we predicted, and we'll see how well it holds 180 for the time being. It's kind of trading sideways around there, so we'll just see how it goes. Just a couple more I just want to mention and call out. Microsoft is looking relatively weak. When you look at the charts on the hourly time frame, you can see we have a head and shoulders like structure. I'm going to actually skip over to the 4-hour just to show you guys this real quick. Microsoft has a head and shoulders like structure that's developing right over here. We could see this thing come all the way down to 395. That's my target, so I am looking at this to look kind of bearish. I could see more downside for that. And then just a couple more. Coinbase is looking kind of weak as we predicted. Watch 168. If that fails us, our next target will be all the way down towards 165 and then 162. There's a risk of some downside. And most of big tech are kind of red right now as SPY is showing some weakness. So just be very careful. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. remain calm, cool, and collected. I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Take care, guys. Watch your levels. Do what you have to do. I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you and peace out.